Today, we have a young Tanzanian tech startup founder you probably never heard about who is crashing the finance industry right now. He is on a mission to unlock financial access through data, and it's not the data that you know about.
A lot of people don't understand when you say data. What data are you talking about?
That's a very good question. So one is not your internet bundle.
Yeah.
For 2 years now, we have been bringing you a lot of founders to share their life and business advices so that we can all learn from them by asking meaningful questions.
I think I have to be very careful while answering this because this is a very sensitive topic.
In this episode, we talked about how he turned an idea into a $1 million business, how he was able to build a strong team that has built multiple products and raised a lot of capital, how to get mentors, the challenges that he has been facing in Tanzania so that you can learn from them as well, and so much more. So sit down and watch until the end because Derrick's story is a big one, and for the first time in this episode, he revealed the total amount he has raised so far from investors.
How much capital have you raised so far?
So far.
Yeah.
So I think just over.
We have noticed that a lot of people watching are not subscribed. So if you love what we do here, please subscribe because that's the best free way to show us your support. So smash that subscribe button and let's get to the video.
So Derrick, welcome back.
Santa Sana. Hello guys. My name is Derick Kazimoto and I'm glad for you guys to have me here.
Yeah.
And also I'm a big fan actually. Let's start there.
Okay.
You guys have done tremendous things in the market, especially in the podcast world. Yeah.
So for those who don't know Derrick, beyond the titles, who is Derrick?
Okay. So Derrick, I think first thing that comes to mind, startup founder, co-founded a company called Black Swan, formerly called Tausi. That's actually the second company co-founded. First one was called Afropav Analytics. At its core, Derrick is a very curious guy. Curious in the sense of whereby he knows and he loves to understand the patterns of data. And what we do, all of it is about data. So data has been a big trend. I've been in it before it was actually a trend.
Okay.
And hence what we do for a living and from our day to day is seeing how can we make people visible through data for them to get credit. So it could be microfinance loans, it could be unsecured digital loans. But what we do at its core is to be able to enable finance through data. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people don't understand when you say data. What data are you talking about?
That's a very good question. So one is not your internet bundle.
Yeah.
But I think at its core, data is information. So any sort of point or data, I'll try to describe it without saying the word data.
Okay.
So any information is data. So what's your name?
Musa.
That's a data point. Are you married or not married?
I'm married.
That's a data point, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When did you buy electricity? How much electricity did you buy? When's the last time you put fuel in your car?
Okay.
Right? All of those things are data points, but getting them close to you and getting them to be able to be useful, I think that's where we come in.
And how is that important to you and your company?
So we are a service provider, I would say, to financial institutions.
Okay.
When you think about it, the way credit used to run, at least for the longest time, consumer credit, what I mean is finance or loan, right?
Okay.
The more you can know about someone, the more you can have the credit, the more you can have the confidence to give this person money.
Okay.
We're not fortunate enough in Africa to have a credit scoring system that is widely used.
Okay.
And hence what we do is we work with financial institutions to be able to describe who Musa is.
Okay.
In a very quick and instant way. So that will be under 2 to 3 minutes for
Okay.
them to say, okay, you can give Musa this much amount of money for him to go get his dream car, for example.
Okay.
Before we'll come back to your company, but what sparked your interest into tech?
That's a very interesting one. A little bit of background. Actually, my undergraduate degree is in civil engineering. When I was in my third year, I told myself to give myself my all into that degree. And then by the end of the third year, I got bored. So unfortunately, I did not see myself being in this industry for my whole life.
Yeah.
At the time, I wanted to find something that's interesting. So the difference between civil engineering and tech, civil engineering is a 500-year-old industry, one. Two, if you're to build something in your dorm room or at your house or at a cafe shop, you cannot do it with civil engineering. You cannot have an end product with civil engineering that you can give it to a person for someone to sort of consume. If you want to do a house, at least a few number of months or weeks until it gets done. What inspired me to get into tech, I think in a week, or now actually the days that we're in, even in a day or a couple of hours, you can have a useful product that someone can use. So that was the mind shift that inspired me into tech. It's like, okay, and the beauty about tech, it changes so fast. With civil engineering, there's no room I can walk into right now and have influence.
Yeah.
There is people with a 10, 20, 30 year experience that you will always have to take a sit back and listen to them.
Okay.
With tech, literally the world changes as we speak, right? So you'd have people who are industry experts in stablecoins. I'm not, but I'm sure that person is not very old. It will be a very young man who's invested their time. Same for AI, blockchain, and all of these other technologies. So that's where I think the shift came to me. It's like I can have an impact now with tech rather than the engineering role that I was in. But I'm still grateful of it, and maybe we can get into it later. Yeah.
So Black Swan is not your first startup that you founded. What was your first one?
So first company is a consulting company. It's called Afropavo Analytics. Afropavo means it's a male peacock, a Congolese male peacock. And why we went with the peacock, which is Tausi. I see you have a beautiful one there.
Yeah.
It's because at the time I was very much interested in data, in a sense of whereby if you see a peacock lying down, you cannot see the beauty of its feathers. So it's just a lot of patterns sitting there and etc. Right? That's like data. So data is everywhere. So as I asked Musa, what's your name? Are you married or not married? When's the time you paid electricity? It's all over the place, right? But when a male peacock is trying to mate with a female peacock, they tend to flaunt their feathers.
Yeah.
So the flaunting of the feathers, that's when you get to appreciate all of the pixels and the beauty of the colors that come with a peacock.
Okay.
And that's where we did as a company. Data is always lying around. We're the people who come and paint that picture just as a peacock would do. And that beauty and the colors and etc. is would put that data in a format or in a sense of whereby someone will be attracted to it. Yeah.
Okay. And that's Afropavo now.
That's Afropavo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was mainly dissembling data.
Data, right? So that was the inspiration behind it, right? We hit the market and then you get to learn, right? So things are not always as you expect. And this is about 4 or 5 years ago. So when we hit the market, you learn that the Tanzanian market, it's very much gut feeling sort of a market. People do make decisions based on data, but after confirming it, so they first have a gut feeling and they will just use data to confirm it, not data leading the decision. So with that, we had to sort of change on our product offerings in a sense of kwamba the market is better off with products than analytics and the science. So no one cares all of the hard stuff you did. People only want a product. And hence why that's where Tausi was born, right? So Tausi, which eventually got rebranded to
Black Swan.
Black Swan.
Okay. You know, I once heard, if it wasn't Mark Zuckerberg, then it was Jeff Bezos. He said that data is the new oil, right? So you have been talking about, like, you have been collecting data from people, right? Then how do you make money with that data?
So data is the new oil only if you can. Okay, so only if you can extract it and put it in well and transport it and have it by your car, and so that you can sort of fill up a car, right?
Yeah.
One, I think I have to be very careful while answering this because this is a very sensitive topic. But how we monetize is this. We just build the engines that help financial institutions to make decisions.
Okay.
In a sense of whereby if a decision was to be taken or would have taken 7 days or 2 months or 1 day, how can they do it under 3 minutes or under 60 seconds or in a second?
Okay.
That's how you monetize out of data. So instead of Musa going through 100 pages of information, can you do that in under 2 minutes?
Okay.
Right. And whatever decision that has been made, it has a monetary value to the person who's paying you to be able to make that decision.
Now, going to Black Swan, I've seen a lot. I mean, I was doing a lot of research into the company and understanding the company. It's you basically get information and then you tell someone that how much you can lend them. There's a time that you're in the company and you're like, okay, this might actually work. When did you get that moment and you're like, okay, this is actually going to work in this country?
Has it?
I mean, you're doing well, so pretty sure you have hit that moment. You're like, oh, okay, this is going to work.
I think one thing I've learned from Kwamba, there's a lot of learnings you get through the journey.
Okay.
You move, you notice something, and then that gives you a reflection of, oh, there's this other opportunity that you can get from point A, B, C, and D, right? Yeah. But you only get to know what works and what doesn't work by actually doing, right?
Yes.
The validation that gave us that there is some sort of a monetary gain from whatever we're doing is because there's very few financial institutions that are lending at scale, right? Meaning, if you ask any bank now, how many banks are doing 10,000 or 100,000 loans a day, right? You have the base, but you're not doing it, right? So that gives us the validation. But what we got to understand in the beginning, we were fighting for a very big market with very few players who are ready to take up our service. The epiphany that we got that not changed the direction, but opened up our thinking is there's an unforgotten market that also still needs that service, but no one has dared to go into it, right? And it's a very popular market. It's just that, and I think Steve Jobs said this, people do things as they are and no one tries to change them until someone does something like that, right? And it's the same thing with us. It's like we saw it as it's something very normal, but it's not. And then when you start giving it to people as a solution, then you see, okay, there is some sort of an opportunity or change.
Yeah. Do you I mean, Tanzania is a huge market and you said there's a lot of players, but not everyone wants to take the service. Do you think it's exposure? Do you think it's fear? Do you think it's we're used to our systems? Why should we go for this?
So I will give an example by trying to answer that question. I think some of the biggest question that is around nowadays is AI gonna take my job,
Yes.
right? It's the same thing with technology when you're introducing technologies, right? People are so much used to what has been happening in the past, right?
Yeah.
Once you get to introduce a solution, as you're building it, part of your solution would, some people might take it as make their job easier. Some people might take it as trying to making them redundant,
Yeah.
right? So you meet those two types of people. So it's, I think, finding the right way of pitching it in a way it doesn't look as something that it will take away someone's job. But in essence, it increases efficiency and makes people, it makes businesses reach more people. So you can think about how ChatGPT helps everyone write a better email. Now, yeah.
And who is the biggest competitor right now?
Okay, so people who are in the same space.
Yeah.
He's looking for a way to say there's no competition, but he's trying to find a political way to answer the question.
Okay.
I'm actually trying to. You see, the thing is, our competitors are too big that they might not find it nice saying we're
And this is
competing.
our competition.
But I would say people who are in the same space. I think that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
So two of the companies are South African.
Okay.
One is called Kuunda and Jumo. So, Kuunda and Jumo.
They're in the Tanzanian market too?
Tanzanian market. Both service the telcos. One is Indian, or partly Dutch. It's called Yabax. Also Tanzanian market. And there's one Tanzanian founded company. But I think the tech companies, they're HQ'd in Kenya. So all of them are servicing the telco space.
Yeah.
Right. Initially, we are heavily wanted to service that space, but we see it's a limited market, right? There's much more also, not there's much more, but there's opportunities also left out by trying to go outside of the telco space. So we went with a hybrid approach of whereby we do have a solution that targets the telco space or businesses of such scale, and also target the ones that are not in the telco space. So someone as small as a microfinance with an $8,000 capital to give loans, we're able to service them, right? So we have the tech to give them to sort of service their borrowers.
I think we've mentioned Black Swan, but you haven't really said exactly what Black Swan does, and the audience needs to understand what exactly Black Swan does.
Okay, so
in the most simplest form.
The simplest form.
Before he explains, maybe I can tell you what Black Swan did to me.
Okay.
So I actually went to JNICC last time, and I found their booth right there, the Black Swan booth. So I went there and I tried to ask some questions, because first of all, their marketing was so good because they put like a very pretty girl that pulled me to go to the booth, because there were like 100 booths in that room, but I went to the first booth and then the second booth was theirs. So I went there and they're like, oh, first of all, we only do B2B, right? We serve businesses. So I just want to know how your product works. They're like, okay, this product can help you analyze your credit score, right? Something like that. So like put your number here and then we can see how much you spend and stuff like that. Bro, after I put my number right there and I got an email of my expenditures, I never knew how rich I was until those data came. I was like, bro, so I'm spending all this kind of money. I'm getting all this kind of loan, but it was crazy. The money that I've never seen it like this at once, but it was a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And that was like very eye-opening. So maybe he can explain it better.
Okay. And interesting enough, the name of the product is called Manka.
Manka, yeah, Manka.
We normally get so many questions why we named it that way. I
Okay.
think we'll easily briefly touch upon that because Manka is a Chaga name.
Yeah.
It's a Chaga lady.
Chaga lady.
And our product is about money. And we all know what the Chaga people are famous for.
Money. Loving money.
But back to your question. And so what Black Swan does, I think at its core, for people to understand, for everyone watching this to understand, what Black Swan does is they help your financial institutions to give you a loan. How we do it is we work with their data. So how? It's either the data that the financial institution that already has. So think about your bank, your telco, think about the microfinance institution that you're going to go ask for a loan for. It could be a school fees loan. It could be an agricultural loan. It could be unsecured loan. Any sort of loan that you would sort of go to ask for, right? You would submit information or they already have that information. In both cases, we're able to analyze your data to advise your financial institution on how much money you can borrow from them responsibly so that you can return the money back and hopefully qualify for a larger loan. So I think at its core, that's what we do.
Okay.
The data points that we use, a very simple one could be a bank statement. It could be your mobile money statement. It could be M-Pesa, Mixed by Yas, Airtel Money statement, even your Lipa number statement. That could be one. And then we use that information to help you get a vehicle loan, your unsecured loan. When I say unsecured, you see all of these loans that you get from your telcos, type of loans.
Yeah.
So those sort of loans, we're able to sort of facilitate that. But when the business of risk, and we use data to de-risk that.
I'm curious. For someone who has lived in the UK, obviously, I am pretty exposed to the credit score history of your credit score determines if you're eligible for, say, $1 million loan or £1,000 loan, whatever it may be. Do you see us as Tanzanian moving to that side of having a credit score as a citizen, which will help you determine how much loan you can get?
I think yes, but it won't be defined that way.
Okay.
When you think about it, right now, the closest thing you can have as a definition to someone's credit. So a credit score, okay, so let's define what a credit score is. A credit score is an identity.
Yes.
Right? It's an identity that relates you with credit. The more you have, the more you can even boast to your friends that I'm given this much.
Yeah.
The closest thing to an identity of a credit score in the market right now is Songesha. People compare how credit worthy they are based off their Songesha limits.
True.
Okay.
Right? If someone might say they gave me up to 1 million shillings, someone say they gave me 50, they gave me 200,000, 500,000,
Yeah.
right? Songesha is not a credit score,
Yeah.
but it shows your credit worthiness.
Yes.
So the first thing that we need to have solved as a national identity is attaching credit and an identity to a person, and hence that's a credit score.
Okay.
Once we are over that hurdle, people will see so much value not to lose that identity that they will ought to pay back their loans.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll have a credit score. Because a credit score is a philosophy, more than a technology or a number that you can sort of fit in.
And what's your Songesha limit?
And also Songesha limit.
Yeah.
That was a question to you.
That was the
what's
question,
the
yeah.
Songesha limit? Okay. So Songesha is a overdraft.
I don't think he understood your
What's
question.
your Songesha
What's
limit?
your
what's
Songesha?
my Songesha
Yeah.
limit?
We're
Okay.
analyzing you. Run data right now.
Actually, So it's not that high. I think mine is about 330,000 shillings.
What's the highest that you've seen?
I think I've seen people just over 1 million.
Is a million the highest?
I've not seen someone with 2 million.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, if someone has 1 million, that means that they're probably on a 900 credit score, right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was thinking about it, and when you guys are talking about you're de-risking the whole part of getting a loan, what challenges do you face? Because I might give you my statement, but I might go bankrupt, or I might not pay just because, as a human. So are you guys held accountable for that part, or is it more of they're just paying for you guys to give that data of like, okay, you can give this amount of loan, or what part does it end at?
Okay, so there's two types of problems there.
Yeah.
The first one, if it's fully unsecured, ideally it won't be a lot. It won't be up to 1 million shillings, 2 million, or 5 million. It won't be, yes, some people might call it life-changing money, but it's not life-changing, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a loan which is 10, 50, 100, 200, 1 billion shillings, right? Whatever we provide is a part of a 10 process, right? So basically, we'll be helping a financial institution 1 out of the 10 things,
Okay.
right? So, and then the collaterals,
Yeah.
and all of these other things will sort of come in, right?
And play a part.
But that one thing will do it so well that you wouldn't have to spend so much time on. But yeah.
So you're basically easing out the process.
Correct. Right.
Makes sense. So for this question, I think I might have to just use my phone to read it out for you and understand it, right? You are tackling a $700 billion financing gap in the informal economy. What's the scale of this opportunity, and what tangible impact have you seen so far through platforms like Kononi and Celcom?
Okay. I think being able to target that big of a market, I would want to address one area of, as an African startup or innovator, that we have to solve problems. When people in Silicon Valley are building, so let's say Sam Altman, he's not building for San Francisco. Anyone in the tech space in the US, they build for the whole world. The challenge that we have in Tanzania or in Africa, we normally confine ourselves to build for our space, right? So if you separate those things, because you mentioned the word scale, people in the US are building for a 7 billion population. Most tech companies were building for a 60 million population. So that the scales are not well balanced, right? And hence, in most tech companies in Tanzania, as you said, they're B2B. They go to B2B because the distribution problem is already solved, right? Meaning, if you work with, let's say, a Celcom or a Kononi or any other sort of company, could be a CRDB, it could be an NMB, your distribution problem is solved. But still, there is a ceiling of the scale that you can hit,
Okay.
right? So for us to be able to overcome that problem, that was a very big problem that we were trying to tackle from a technology point of view, is whatever we're building locally here should be able to be used in Burkina Faso, should be able to be used in Uganda, should be able to be used in Malaysia, right? And also not being used, but also have value.
Yes.
Right? And that's when you get to solve the whole $700 billion problem. Whatever you have built here can solve for Ivory Coast. In, let's say, Botswana. But to get there, we really need to sort of change as, and it could not only be for tech. You guys are doing a podcast. This podcast, I believe the audience is not just for Tanzania, but it's for anyone who has vision and destiny.
Yeah.
Could be from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And through technology, this can easily sort of scale.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my experience. One, it's not about the tech itself. It's about the thinking on how to build and how to sort of get to your customers.
So to understand with your answer is that, and the message to everyone is that when you're building something, don't just build for the country or for the people that you intended to. Build for the whole world, so that, and add value, and find a way to add value to everyone.
Yeah.
There are a lot of regulations in Tanzania that can either build a business or can kill a business. I remember one of these guys, his name is Benjamin Fernandez, right? He had to move his operations from Tanzania to another country.
Yes.
I don't know, it was Kenya or Rwanda or something like that. So you are building a fintech company, right?
Yes.
So my question is, what kind of surprises and regulations that you have faced so far, and how did you overcome them?
Okay. So I think we all meet surprises, eh?
Yeah.
Especially in this market when you're building. The ability to take a step back and reevaluate is key. So I'll give you a very simple
Okay.
one. This is not even a regulation surprise. It was just an experience surprise.
Okay.
Something such as a conflict of interest of how you're building and who your clients are
Okay.
was a surprise to me 4 years back, that eventually got to separating Afropavo and founding Tausi, so that there's no
Conflict of
there's no conflict of interest, right? Not from a regulator side,
Yeah.
but just from a growth side. Okay, this was a surprise to me in my founding journey.
Okay.
From a regulatory point of view, we haven't yet faced a major shock, at least for our industry. When you look at it, most fintech startups are in the payments space. So that's where the central bank would be very much having a lot of matured regulatory frameworks to sort of regulate them. But in the data space, it is very much, I wouldn't say a free ride, but for example, we're in the open banking space, right, as a company.
Yeah.
There's only like 1 or 2 countries in Africa who have an open banking regulation. So what we sort of do is pro to regulation of whereby how can we work with the current Personal Data Protection Act and have non-predatory ways of actually, or using data the right way to be able to basically do our business.
Yeah.
But coming back to your question about Benjamin, I think at times building in the right environment matters, because I believe so. There's a lot of people elsewhere, maybe the ideas would have failed, but in Tanzania would have worked, and the vice versa.
Yeah.
And hence, I think I want to say pivoting, but moving to that direction until you're able to have a successful dream. I mean, your dream to be successful.
Mm.
I believe as a founder, you will have the instincts to make the right calls.
And how many products do you have at Black Swan?
So 3. So I'll call them products and services.
Okay.
Tausi is the core credit scoring engine. So when I say core, it's the core sort of engine that takes in a lot of data to be able to price risk, in a sense of whereby Monty is worth 50,000, Musa is worth, let's say, 100,000 shillings.
Okay.
And then we built a product called Manka. So Manka, what Manka does is it's able to take in statements mobile money statements, your M-Pesa, Tigo Pesa, or Mixed Bias, Airtel Money, Lipa number statements, not only from Tanzania, from anywhere in the world, right? And be able to price, or at least to understand your credit worthiness based off your cash flows. And then now the third product that is now testing is called Mtaa Manka.
Mtaa Manka.
Mtaa Manka.
Okay.
So this is not yet out in the public.
So it's exclusive.
It's sort of exclusive piloting downstairs, but I can officially sort of introduce it here. But what Mtaa Manka does is, with Manka, we have a lot of financial institutions and microfinances that we were dealing with. Mm-hmm. So we got to understand that, yes, we have lenders. They also have a need for borrowers.
Okay.
Right? So Mtaa Manka came from, as I said before, Manka is like, it's a lady, it's a chaga, she's good with money. Then Manka built the product, it has financial institutions. When we were thinking of a name to call our third product, is a place like Kariakoo is known, one, it's a marketplace, but kila mtaa or Kariakoo, so every street in Kariakoo is famous for a certain product.
Yeah.
So you'd find Mtaa wa Congo is famous for something, Mtaa wa Msimbazi is famous for something, then you have Mtaa wa Manka, which will be famous for credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very interesting. I like it. I like the names that you name your companies and your products. Right. Very interesting.
No.
So yeah, I wouldn't say Wall Street, but
Manka Street.
It's Manka Street, right? So with Manka, we're gonna start with two products to be specific. We piloted by putting it open-ended, didn't end well, so that was a learning for us. But we're gonna start with phones and cars.
Okay.
So next time my friend here wants a Range Rover, I think we should be able to get you it.
So when you say phones and cars, does it mean payment in installment?
Yes.
Okay, that's one thing I've been very interested in. That, for example, I know that there's a car company here in Tanzania that do give you an installment plan, but you have to pay the whole installment and then you get your car.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that was very interesting for me because, as we can see, people are very curious or like very surprised when they see in America or like the UK that everyone drives a good car and they're like, oh, this guy has money, but it's more of the installments that come in play. So I think that's a very interesting one. Hopefully, MYOD podcast can have a good car of itself through Mtaa Manka.
I mean, karibuni sana.
And when exactly are you dropping this new product?
It's actually live, but very exclusive. Okay. We're trying to make sure all of the right things are working.
Still B2B.
B2B2C, because we go straight to B2C and then link them with a B. So I would say, I think it's our first play that we're going straight to the consumers.
I'd like to reframe Musa's previous question about the regulatory bodies that surprised you. Instead of that question, I wanted to ask, what is the biggest challenge you have faced in the startup world?
Okay, so the biggest challenge to startup world, one is a mentality issue, right? It's very hard for one to build a startup in Tanzania the same way you build in the US.
Okay.
Hence, funding is not as quickly and easily accessible in Tanzania than in the US. But there has been a lot of great efforts by people like Funguo and etc. and also a lot of development programs actually trying to fund businesses here. But you'd find there's some sort of traction that a business needs to have to be able to access that funding. The early stage students, it's still not that easy for them to access funding.
Okay.
So the biggest challenge I had was, in the beginning, I had to do a lot of me and my partners, a lot of bootstrapping. So in a sense of whereby you consult, you get money, then you fund your startup until it gets to an area of whereby it's you've not de-risked it, but you've built enough traction that it can stand on its own.
Okay.
So I think one, it would be access to capital, especially if you're building a startup. And once you get to pass that hurdle, the second one would be getting trust in the market for you to actually sell your products and services. Because there's this notion, especially in the industry that I'm in, that some of these things cannot be done by local people, right? Hence, once you get trust and you're able to start getting traction, you'd be in a much more better area. But I would say funding, or at least getting capital for any startup founder, I think that's the biggest hurdle that they have to sort of get ahead while starting.
I recently saw in the Citizen that there's a lot of funding being given out in Africa, but Tanzania is missing out on the funding a lot. Why is this?
Can I ask you a question back?
Yeah.
I think that question is only valid if we all agree in this room that for startups, not for startups to be successful, but a success metric for a good startup ecosystem is funding.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
If we agree to that question, then it validates, okay, so let's answer the second part. If we do not agree to that question, then that could sort of give us a different road, right?
Yeah.
But let's say I agreed to say that you validate an ecosystem based on how much money it's raising, right?
Okay.
The second part would be, I believe for startups to be successful in an ecosystem, it's not a startup ecosystem, it's the whole ecosystem. So quick question, how many media companies are promoting startups, right? When you look at, let's say, Benjamin, right? Benjamin is a very successful startup founder, but not but actually, and
Yeah.
sorry, because but negates it. Also, what makes him great, he's also a very good marketer, right?
Okay.
Him as Benjamin. But when you go to other ecosystems like Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, and etc., you'd find the media in the country hyping the companies in the country and also giving them support.
Yeah.
There's not much of that in Tanzania. So, for example, Silicon Valley, they will have the tech crunches and etc. Nigeria will have tech cabal. Huge props to Tanzania. There's a guy called Isai Matias. I'm not sure if you guys know him. Atoms and Bits. He started off a year ago, but being able to publish about what's going on in the tech ecosystem in Tanzania is giving us visibility to the outside world. Because when you think about it, if you're an investor and you want to invest into this podcast, what's the first thing that you'll do? You'll do your own research, right? But the moment there's nothing to research about,
Makes it hard.
Makes it hard.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the whole ecosystem, I know I've touched upon media, but there's a lot more other things that we can, or at least the whole ecosystem can make the startup ecosystem thrive more. I haven't touched upon talent. I haven't touched upon, let's say, the education system.
Yeah.
But one thing I do think is, yes, when funding goes to a country, shows something is booming, but I don't think it validates that an ecosystem that gets the most funding, it shows an ecosystem is thriving.
So would you say that it's the government that needs to put more power into visibility? Is it the private sector? Is it the media? Is it the ecosystem itself? Because when we talk about ecosystem, am I correct to say the ecosystem mainly is the government that is controlling it? Or would you say it's the people inside the ecosystem?
I think first and foremost, before even the government, it's the private sector. I think for the longest part, supporting startups has seen as a charitable thing, not a commercial thing.
Yeah.
Someone cannot go to market if if they take you as charity, or they're doing this as what's it called in corporate social responsibility, CSR, right? It's very hard for them to take you serious to go to market with you.
Yeah.
But if these programs and all of these things that have been taken or done with the private sector have an intent to empower these startups in the ecosystem to actually go to market with them, you would find the startup ecosystem thriving more, because we will have our own companies servicing our own people, and the government will sort of come in eventually.
As a tech startup in Tanzania, how much capital have you raised so far?
So far,
Yeah.
So I think just over 200,000.
20,000.
Yes.
And let's say I want to buy you out right now, all of you.
Yes.
How much you do sell it to me?
I think that's an undisclosed figure.
So I was very curious about the funding. I'm pretty sure other people will relate to it. When you say you're getting a funding, some people can think that charity, right? You're getting charity or you're getting funded to do a certain project. When you're getting funded, is it something that you have to now pay back? Or is it more of like you're getting boosted to get your idea across to the other so you can help the society? Or am I both assumptions wrong?
Okay, so let's break it down. So there's equity,
Yes.
there's grants,
Yes.
there's debt, and there's other complicated ones that maybe we don't have the time, like convertible notes and safes and etc. This is my personal view. The moment you get funded, it could be any of the models, right? I believe personally you have a debt to deliver. Not saying debt as a bad thing, but you've taken a responsibility that this X amount of funds, you have to work hard for them to make sure they have a return.
Okay.
It could be a social impact, commercially viable, or just bridge you from one area to the other, right? Or from one stage to the next stage. So when a startup gets funded, you'd have it's not charity, right? So you'd have programs like Funguo, there's the develop, the EV, developed with the triple P, from DG Impulse, and many other sort of organizations that give you grants. But the people that give you a grant, it's not a charity, but they see potential in a business, and they have obviously validated, done their due diligence on the company, and they think that this sort of catalytic funding will be able to get you from this stage to this stage. But by elevating this business from stage A to stage B, it has a lot of society impact. So that's one. So that could be a grant, right?
And you don't pay them back.
And you don't pay them back. There's no equity dilution, but you just need to report on how that funding has helped you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the second one is equity.
Okay.
So a few minutes ago, Musa asked me, what's your business worth?
Yeah.
Right. So you sit down, you say, okay, my business is worth $100,000. And then we debate on that to agree if the business is worth $100,000.
How do you know if a business is really worth 100,000?
So you see, the thing is, it's a tricky question because there's no right answer. Revenue matters, but for a startup, you'd find, okay, so if it's a startup with no revenue, how do you put a worth to it or value to it?
Yeah.
It's a very
That's a valid
tricky
point.
question.
So you do debate that my idea is worth $100,000?
So ideally, if it's still an idea, I would advise you not to.
No, like I'm saying, like my startup, because if I haven't made any revenue, technically you haven't been in operations, right?
Yeah. So basically, think of it this. So think about everything you do is they're risking the startup and adding value. So let's say we start a company now, right? It's not registered versus it being registered. The value is different. It's registered. There's 3 of us in this company, right?
Yeah.
The value is different if all of us are full-time or only Musa is full-time and me and Monty are part-time.
Yeah.
Right? And then, okay, we're full-time. What are we doing? Right? We're looking for, let's say, we're trying to service this industry. The first question that an investor will come in, do you have a product? Right? So the investor's investment could be creating the product, right? Or taking the product to market. So let's say, yes, we have a product. Is it working? Yes. Do you have customers? Yes or no? Right? All of these questions are taking up your valuation, right?
Data points.
Yeah, data points. Do you have customers? Yes. Are they paying you? Yes. How much are they paying you per month? X amount. Can you increase the number of customers you have? Yes. So all of these things add up to what value can this company be in 24 months.
Okay.
And then you settle on that, right? Yeah. So let's say if I had a startup and before even starting, I have a contract with a big corporate company, obviously my value of the company would be to some extent tied upon that contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was talking to one of, he's a tech founder here in Tanzania as well. So I asked him the same question, like, how do you value a company? And he told me the team is very important. So when someone wants to invest, they look at the team. Let's say a company is not making any money yet. They look at the team, how competent is the team. That means that a team is very important, right? So how did you manage to build a team?
Okay, so the skill at least.
Yeah.
So I but I do a lot of sports. I do a lot of team sports.
Yeah.
What has made me to be very exact, I play a lot of football. Or
Yeah.
used to play a lot of football before all of this weight. When you're playing football and you have a team,
Yeah.
you would know how to move your team or motivate your team to get to your goals.
Yeah.
Right? But before even having a good team, you need to know how to attract a good team.
Okay.
I was very fortunate in our previous business,
Yeah.
which is Afropavo Analytics. We worked with most of the people who are in our current team, at least the senior leadership.
Okay.
So we already had a working relationship. We had the same culture, the same ethics that made it very easy for us to get on this venture and start building block by block.
Okay.
That helped. But if I was to start again and I was to build a team,
Yeah.
I think the first thing that I've done is gone to places whereby I find people who we value the same things. So it's not about the skill, it's about the attitude of the problem that you're trying to solve. So, for example, I could be a very good videographer, but I'm a good videographer for weddings. I'm not a podcast guy.
Yeah.
I'll probably not fit in well with your team, right? But if I could find an area whereby I could find people who are passionate about what we're trying to do, you'd end up finding or getting introduced to people who would have the same skills, or right, complement on the same or different skills that will help you build your company.
So, lack of capital is a very big issue here in Tanzania, because I've been receiving a lot of DMs of people coming to me asking me for capital to fund their startups, which I understand because we have a club called Connectors Club. So on one of our events that we did last time, we offered capital to a business that had the best idea, right? So people come to me and ask for capital. And your company has raised a lot of capital, $200,000 so far. How did you manage to raise that capital?
I think for us, it came from a point of de-risking the business, right?
De-risking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, you can raise capital. One, you said team.
Okay.
Team is one area. Second is product.
Product.
Yeah. So you have a team. What is it doing? It's building a product or a service.
Okay.
If you're a team that has a product or a service, I think the second question would be, what is that team and product service doing in terms of traction?
Okay.
So in some cases, you'd find people that would be coming to your DMs, could be a solo founder, still has an idea but does not have a product. I would say if that person has the capacity, can they crowdfund, right?
Okay.
The barrier of technology has gotten so low that it is very easy for anyone to have a prototype.
Okay.
It could be through family, it could be through anyone, right? Try to validate your idea with family and try making them pay for it.
Same Tanzania we're talking about.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you cannot have someone you know, right? And I'm coming. This could be probably from a tech point of view.
Okay.
If they can pay for it, right? Or if they won't pay for it, but try to look for someone or anyone who can pay for it. Yeah. That would show so much about not what that person is doing, but the character that you as an investor would invest in.
Okay.
You mentioned an idea and having an idea, solo founders and everything. You had an idea, you executed your idea. What message or advice do you have? Because everyone in the world has ideas. It's all about execution. What message or advice do you have for fellow Tanzanians or in the audience that have ideas and are scared to execute or want to execute but don't know how, or have everything that makes them doubt themselves into executing the idea?
Okay, so maybe to answer this question, to make it short, if you have an idea, just start. I don't think I can give you any better advice than telling you to just start. Talking to people about your idea, they'll probably talk you out of it rather than talk you more into it. I would rather tell you to go out there, push yourselves, to test your idea until it fails. And then you'll learn something that it's going to be your idea 2.0 that you'd be coming off from experience. So just start.
2 questions. One is, you mentioned people talking you out of an idea, but most people in this world have mentors. One question is to you that did you have a mentor when you had this idea and these ideas in your head, and how did they support you or how did they guide you into this? Number two is you mentioned until you fail, go with your idea until you see it go otherwise. But at what point do you have to understand that this has failed?
Okay. So, one, I think in life you need to have not one but many mentors.
Okay.
So you can have one spiritually, you can one have for sports, you can have one even in your line of work. You can still have five. Someone in finance, someone about your growth, and etc.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the old days in school. Um, let's say I'm in Form 2 and I want to pass my Form 2 exams. I will always go to a person who's in Form 3 and Form 4 to come and advise me how to pass my Form 2 exams. And this is something that in life you must have in many facets.
Yeah.
So starting back from school, I had a lot of mentors in uni. I had a lot of mentors when I got back. I was always curious enough to ask questions. Whenever you're looking for a mentor, right?
Yeah.
The mentor has to see something in you to take you apart.
Yes.
From where you are now, I believe there is a kid or someone lower than you that you've taken them as your apprentice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You saw something in that kid for you to be able to give your time for free.
Exactly.
To tell him, okay, don't do this, do that, do this, do that. The same principle applies going up. Now, not you as a mentor, but you being as an apprentice. What sort of value can you add to your mentor or something that you've done, that they see something in you that it's worth their time to give it to you?
Okay.
Right? So I think that will be my take on the mentorship part. And what was the second question?
The second question is, at what point should you just understand that you have failed?
I think before you start any project, you have to set your success metrics. And not to stop you from keep going, but just to guide you of when do I need to reevaluate these things. So I think Jeff Bezos said, be stubborn with the vision, but flexible with the details.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what the best piece of advice would you give to a young tech founder in Tanzania right now?
I think the first things, I think it has been said a lot. I would say, one, ideas are cheap.
Okay.
With ChatGPT and all of this stuff coming in and etc., anyone can build a prototype very quickly.
Yeah.
The key thing is to get your product into the hands of people and them use it and them seeing value in it. So you can measure your success onto the number of people who are using your product, not the idea that came with the product.
Yeah.
So I think that would be my 2 cents.
You are a very busy man, but to the audience, some people who are looking up to you, are you open to mentoring people?
Yes, and I do it quite often. But I always do it to people who I think or I see a potential in them, to guide them in the sense of whereby to not stray off. And to give a secret, so the way I would take off a mentee or an apprentice is, I would not tell you, or not handshake, oh, today we you have mentored an apprentice. I'll just give you a task. It's like, okay, just go do this. And then someone will go do it. And then a month later they'll come, oh, I already done it. This is what I've done, and etc. and etc. And then I was like, okay, you're able to do this and this. What did you learn, and etc. Walk me through your thinking and etc. And then that's first, okay, so since you're able to do A, then try B. And then they will go and do B. Then the next time is like, can you do C for me? So this is my project that I'm bringing.
Now you're having a connection.
Connection.
Yeah.
Yes.
if you had one request to the government to change, whether it's a policy or how they view the startup ecosystem, what would you request them to do, or what advice would you have for them to better it?
Okay, so I think the advice I would have to the government, I think the ecosystem is as good as the people and the talent that come through it. The advice I would have for the government is we would need to slightly rethink our education system,
Allocation.
education,
Okay.
so that we have better people, not better people, but more qualified startup founders that are coming through our educational system. And this comes from, it could be through programs, and I'm sure a lot of startup founders that are already in the market will be happy to take a part as mentors into that. But I think what we're lacking is the right pool of talent coming in that they can service the startup ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And when I say startup ecosystem, it's not just technical. It could be simple as communication. Yeah. So talking, a very interesting one, presenting. Mm. Those things will take us far to improving this ecosystem.
What do you think that Black Swan will achieve in the next 5 years?
Is it one or many things?
Could be many.
Could be many. Okay. Okay, so I think what we're gearing towards is, one, we should have a presence in at least 3 countries, beyond Tanzania. From a Tanzania perspective, because it's our first market, what we're really looking to achieve is to establish that identity. Because what we do, or at least in the startup world, there's a word called product market fit. The product market fit that we look for is attaching Musa with your credit identity.
Okay.
That's our product market fit. If we're able to achieve that in 5, that'll be the best 2030 present or 2030 birthday present that I could get 5 years back. But yeah.
With that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Today we had Derrick, who has shared a lot of insights into the startup ecosystem of Tanzania, but also has given valuable advice to all the founders out there and has shared a lot, which I've learned a lot. I'm pretty sure Musa has as well. And for the mentees or for the apprentices that are looking to be mentored by Derrick, they can catch you at
LinkedIn. I think that Derick Kazimoto, that's the easiest one.
Yeah.
We'll put the details down.
Put the details in the description, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And if you guys want to see Derrick here, how many likes?
Part 2. 200 likes.
200 likes. Make sure you guys hit 200 likes, and we'll have Derrick for part 2. And hopefully, we will be onboarded on, next time we want to visit the office and understand the whole back end system and of how it really works. And hopefully, I can check my system if what Musa said is true, that I'm worth 50,000, and know how if I can go get a Range Rover tomorrow.
Oh, the best.
Using some Tawamanka. But thank you guys very much.